the rich diversity of this country. The councillors, please be upstanding. Statement. I declare that as a councillor of Benalla Rural C, I'll undertake on every occasion to carry out my duties in the best interest of the community, and that my conduct shall maintain the standards of our councillor code of conduct, so I may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in the council by the people of Benalla District. I'd just like to remind you all that the meeting is being recorded and streamed live via YouTube. We expect everyone to be on their best behaviour as normal. And anyone with a conflict of interest, please declare that conflict before the item. Do we have any apologies? No. Item number 5, proposed 2020-21 budget and draft 2020 strategic resources plan, consideration of public submissions. Kathy Fitzpatrick.
Mr. Chair, I'll speak to this one.
Thank you, Mr. Barber.
Allowable, thank you. Just that I put together the responses here in regard to presentations that were made by submitters to the council laws earlier in June. As can be seen from the report, the officers' responses to the submitters are on page 7 and page 8 of the report. In regard to Mr. David Lamont made several suggestions. One in regard to curb and channeling and roadways. The officer response to that is that these be submitted to the capital work program, and they also be captured in a new way of capturing our capital works. I think this gets back to also recently where we presented our local government community satisfaction survey, which also raised field roads as an issue. So I think that this submission from Mr. Lamont backs that up. In regard to the traffic lights at Clark and Bridge Streets and the right turn facility at Bridge and Nunn, these are both Vic Roads issues. The recommendation is that the council will continue to make representations of Vic Roads. However, these have been made in the past and have been unsuccessful. In regard to the establishment of a short stay caravan park, the council has recently made several initiatives to become a recreational vehicle friendly town with the provision of a sewer dome point here at the Benalla Airport, and also where we provided low cost accommodation at JC Island and at the Benalla Showgrounds. We don't believe that the operation of a caravan park as such is a private enterprise that the council should be involved in. And finally, Mr. Lamont suggested use of the notice board on the Benalla Monash Bridge. We believe that this idea does have some merit, and as such, that proposal will be referred to the Communications Advisory Committee for consideration. All of those responses do not need inclusion in the final budget. In regard to Basketball Victoria, they asked the allocation for $39,727 to offset Benalla Indoor Recreation Centre hire fees. At the moment, a request of that magnitude is beyond the financial capacity of the council. People familiar with the budget document do recognise that we are tight in regard to our finances. The recommendation there that Basketball Victoria be referred back to the Benalla Indoor Recreation Centre Incorporated, who actually charge fees to use the facility. Council gets no revenue out of the Recreation Centre. And finally, Benalla Squash and Racquetball Association request an allocation of $370,000 to progress the redevelopment of the Benalla Indoor Recreation Centre. Once again, such a request is beyond the financial capacity of the council. However, the council has adopted a master plan for the Indoor Recreation Centre, and we have sought external funding to progress that project to get it to the shovel-ready status. The recommendation is that once again we continue to look for external funding to get those plans up to a position where we are shovel-ready to go with that project. Neither the Basketball Victoria or the Benalla Squash and Racquetball Association, the opposite responses doesn't recommend any changes to the budget to incorporate those. Happy to take any questions, Mr. Chair.
Are there any questions, Mr. Barber? Councillor Firth?
Yes. With regards to Lamont's perfectly sensible request, which we bridge Nunn Street traffic lights and Clark Bridge Street traffic lights, our response is that it has to be referred to Big Roads. I would suggest that Big Roads has been referred or referred to Big Roads on more than one occasion over the years. Am I correct in believing that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, that is correct. It has been an issue identified many times previously, but we can refer it again to continue the.
Any other questions, Mr. Barber? The recommendation is on page 8. The recommendation is the report be noted, number 1. Number 2, that the council considers adoption of the 2021 budget and the 2020 strategic resources plan at the ordinary meeting of council on the 29th of July 2020. Do I have a mover? Councillor Alexander, seconded Councillor Firth. Would you like to speak, Councillor Alexander?
Just to say that it's really good that people in the community have made submissions to our budget, and some of them are very sensible, and we all agree with what the sentiments that they've brought to the table, and we wish we could make them happen, but we have taken it all on board, and we have included it somewhere in our plans ahead, so I'm pleased to support that recommendation.
Sorry, it was Councillor Hearn who actually seconded that. Would you like to speak, Councillor Hearn?
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? That's carried. Item number 6, 2020 general valuation. Kathy Fitzpatrick, thank you.
Process that we're going through for part of the budget process each year includes these times with the revaluation of all properties. The state of Victoria now revalues properties every year. So in the appendix attached in this report, you'll see that we had the previous year's valuations at the 1st of January 2019, and this year we've come 12 months on and experienced overall an increase of over 4% in the valuations. These figures are used to prepare our rate notices for the forthcoming collection of rates for the 2021 year. I will point out that the change in the valuations do not mean that we have an increase in revenue coming in based on the valuations having gone up. There's a 2% cap on the rate revenue that we can raise, and the amount of the valuations will not impact the amount that we raise. We can only limit it to the amount that was raised in the prior year. So you'll see in the table on page 9 the CIB increases, which is the cap on improved value that has been identified as increases. It's always interesting to see. People will receive their rate notices and are able to adjust if they disagree with the valuations based on their rates, but it will remember that it's the 1st of January pre-COVID, not post-COVID. So the Minister has to approve them, which is now done, and these will be the basis of our forthcoming budget and the rate notices to go out.
Any questions of Kathy? The recommendation is on page 10 that the 2020 general valuation be adopted and used for rating purposes for the 2021 financial year. Do I have a mover? Councillor Upston. Councillor Hearn. Would you like to speak? Councillor Upston?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Hearn. Would anyone else like to speak? All those in favour? That's carried. Item number 7, confidential business. The recommendation is that the meeting be closed to the public for the consideration of confidential business. Item noted for the pursuant section 3 and section 66 of the Local Government Act. Someone move that. Councillor Upston, Councillor Davis. Thank you.
Greg. Only confidence, Greg.
Those in favour?